Well, I'm constantly drowning in comments from people who like Donald Trump and say that the media are being unfair to him, and I think that's a fair critique, and we talk about it on the show quite regularly. I write about it in my columns. It's a subject of endless fascination, but then there's a whole other chunk of you, and I see this when I put up a tweet, and I get, half and half reaction. Same thing on Facebook, same thing just in our email, which is some of you can't stand Donald Trump, and you think that we are somehow propping him up. So let's go to the email. This is from J. Stephen Tansey in Pennsylvania. And J. Stephen writes, I, and maybe I'm the only one, am sick of Fox pumping Trump. When Trump comes on or where Fox cuts into a presser of Trump's, I turn the channel. I'm a huge Fox viewer. My TV burned in the Fox logo in the lower left corner. I have it on so much. Why don't you do a story about how unfair Fox's coverage is to the other candidates and how much of a disservice it is doing to the electorate by hyper coverage of Trump and ignoring other candidates? Well, we're doing that right now. First of all, there's no way that Fox is ignoring other candidates. Every single week on the Republican side, I see Marco Rubio interviewed. I see Ben Carson interviewed. I see Ted Cruz interviewed. I see John Kasich interviewed. And when the other candidates were in, Chris Christie was on a lot. They certainly have access to Fox, and many segments talk about what they're doing. And this is not a problem. If you think this is a problem just at Fox, maybe it's because you've got the burned-in logo, but you're not watching the other channels. MSNBC carries more live Trump rallies and pressers than any of the other networks, often cutting into hardball at 7 p.m. Eastern. Trump's holding a rally, and apparently MSNBC has decided that network can get higher ratings by showing the Donald than by showing their own hosts and commentators and guests. And CNN does an awful lot of it as well. And Fox does it sometimes, not as much as at the beginning of the campaign. Now here I think, and I've said this on the air, that I do think that the more that Trump especially when he is carried live and unfiltered, and the other candidates are not. I think that is unbalanced, and I think it does help Trump, and I think it is something that we need to rectify. It might be a little easier now that we're getting down to a more manageable number of candidates. But when you talk about covering stories that involve Trump, where he is somehow making news, or doing interviews with Trump, he still does more interviews than any other of these candidates. I mean, he is constantly either showing up or on remote from one of the primary or caucus states, or from Trump Tower, or calling in. He was on all 5 Sunday shows, I believe, on Sunday. And, that's an example of him making news. That's an example of his mastery of the media cycle. Other candidates who sometimes are available, sometimes are not available. I've tried to get some other candidates. We've had most of the Republican candidates. I never got Jeb Bush, for example. Now he's out of the race. I think he didn't make good use of the media, at least until toward the end. So I take your point. It's something we should talk about. It's something we should hold the media accountable for. But it's not all us just throwing open the doors and saying, here, Donald, just take over the airwaves. The guy knows how to use, and some might say manipulate the media to his advantage. That's part of what winning candidates do.